Hey guys, it's Rachel again, and today I want to show you how to draw a hyper-realistic eye using the Color Therapy app. The best way to learn how to draw anything hyper-realistically is to look at a strong reference. So maybe your own eye in a mirror or a photo that is close up. That way you'll know where to place details, highlights, and shadows. I'll show you how to draw an eye in this manner using green tones, but you can apply these steps using any color. If you want to practice using the same image I am, find it under the Classic tab and then scroll over to People. Under Close-Up Face, it's the second image. So let's begin by choosing our colors from the color palette. So open it up and under the Essential 1 tab, scroll over to Rainbow Palette and make sure it's set to Gradient. And I'm going to choose this dark green to light green gradient here. And then back in the palette, I'm going to choose a few more accent colors. So make sure it's set to Solid now. And I'll choose this medium blue and a goldenrod yellow. And then I'll also choose this light green. And finally, we'll also need a black and a white. So in the palette, select Basic under the Basic tab and just select a white and a black solid. So the first thing I like to do is just tap to fill in a basic foundation color, and we'll do that for the iris using that dark to light green color. And we want to set the radial gradient. So click the middle one and then just tap to fill in the eye. And then to fill in this area where that tear is, select the manual mode. And then you'll just sample that color by holding the pen down in that area and then just tapping it to fill in. So this is all about going in layers. So first we'll do a yellow layer. So select the manual mode and click on Marker. We'll set both the opacity and the size to 30. So select Goldenrod and then zoom in really close. Make sure that Coloring Inside the Lines mode is set to off, and you're just going to start to go around the pupil. And we're just doing these back and forth strokes, just quickly, and not really worrying too much about how far it's going past the line. We'll clean that up later. And I'm going in a radial motion just around that pupil, kind of like a starburst. Now, depending on the eye color that you're choosing to do, you can make this longer or shorter. Now we'll do the same thing with that blue color, and we're going to do it right next to the yellow in just a few areas. So it's in between the green and the yellow. This is just going to add some variation to the eye, since every eye is unique, and you can overlap it in a few areas. Now we're going to switch to AIRBRUSH. So open up that toolbox, select AIRBRUSH, and we'll keep those same settings, but this time we'll select that light green. And now we're going to begin to blend in those lines a little bit. So the marker was really good to add in a little bit of texture, but now we want to blend in a few areas using that light green. And the AIRBRUSH works really well for that because it's a really smooth brush. Again, going around the pupil radially. So I've kind of toned down the yellow a little bit and just kind of blended in those two colors. We do want to keep some of that texture because eyes have striations of color, and that's why we want to have a little bit of texture showing through. Now let's lower the size of the AIRBRUSH to about 5 and raise the opacity to about 60. Then select black, and now we're going to basically start adding a dark shadow around the inside edges of the eye. And I'm doing this starting from the edge of the inside edge and just drawing outwards with straight lines. So this is essentially just hatching inward. Again, the key to this is really just layers. So layers, layers, layers until you reach that final realistic look that you're going for. Okay, now let's lower the size to 0. And we're going to add more detail lines around those edges in the same way. This time you can make them a little bit longer. Again, just going from that outside edge towards the pupil. You can make some of them longer than others. Okay, now we want to color in the pupil black. So select the Coloring Inside the Lines mode, set that to on. Then make sure it's in Tap to Fill mode, and then just tap to fill in the pupil. Now going back to manual mode, we'll leave those same settings as we had before and set it again now to Coloring Inside the Lines mode to off. And we're going to add little tiny streaks coming out from the pupil outward. And they're just going to be going a little bit beyond that circle there, all the way around. Now we want to add our last layer of details in the eye. So I'm going to choose just one more color under the basic tab, under basic palette. I'm going to select a very light solid blue, and I'm going to set the size to 4 and the opacity to 65. Now we're going to add in details around the ring of the eye, and basically what you'll do is make long oval shapes, kind of abstract, and connect them with lines. And then you can also let those lines kind of come out and curl around and curve around that pupil, and then make some more of those ovals. And it's kind of open to your interpretation. And then lastly, you want to clean up all the lines. So for the reflections, make sure you select white, and then you can do coloring inside the lines mode and color it in just a little bit. You don't want to completely white out the reflections because that's what they are exactly. They're reflecting other things, so they'll have a little bit of color to them. And you can also add other reflections if you'd like as well. It's just up to you. And then you'll want to clean up the other areas, so just tap to fill white around the other areas. Or you can color in the whole eye. Here is the finished eye after I've taken away the lines, added in color to the white of the eyes, skin, and eyelashes. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the Color Therapy YouTube channel so you don't miss any new tutorial videos. Thanks for watching our tutorial. You can get the Color Therapy app for free on the App Store.